Welcome to my mad paint rig. So we're going to check how the dynamic crosshair works, why it works, and also we're going to have some spit physics. For that we've got a totally not overrated ship, a happy little ball guy, and a ruler. Check it. The first part of the physics we need to understand is speed equals distance divided by time. So say for example we have our little ball here, who's happy by the way, and he moves 30 centimeters in the space of 1 second. That means he is going 30 centimeters per second. Isn't that cool? Let's bring him back here. This is how any sort of speed is measured, like miles per hour, meters per second. You get how it works, don't you? So some smart guys figured out that you can actually, there's this equation, or if you're like a nerd here, but ignore the red if you don't care, because who cares? All you need to know is speed is equal to the distance traveled over the time spent traveling. So here's our ball. He's going to travel 30 centimeters in 1 second. That is 30 centimeters per second. Did you know that you can actually switch that about? So turns out, oh shit, it's in red. Who cares? Distance, you can just really fiddle about with it. Distance is equal to time times speed, which is that's pretty cool. So if you care how I kind of did that, it's cool. Basically, what you do is you multiply both sides by time here, so that we have distance by itself. That's literally all I did. I just multiplied both sides by time. So all that means is that if you have the speed and you have the time, you can figure out the distance. So say we don't have a ruler. Shit. Okay. We don't have a ruler, and we want to find out how far our happy ball has moved. Well, what we can do is we can get a timer and go 1, and I can tell you for a fact he was moving at 1 centimeter per second. So if he's moving at 1 centimeter per second and 1, he only moved for 1 second, then that means that he must have only moved 1 centimeter here. It's quite cool actually. I'll show you with the ruler. So here he is at the start, and watch this for 1 second. That was cool, right? So we knew he was moving at 1 centimeter per second, and he only moved for 1 second. So that means that, yeah, he moved 1 centimeter. Hey, so do you remember how I had a bunch of examples for speed? Well, some wicked pirates like hundreds of years ago or some shit figured out you can use. Oh, it's still in the wrong color. Figured out you could use knots. Now that's really stupid because it isn't standardized. You can't say knots per second, but basically just think of it as a unit of speed. Fucking pirates. So do you remember the first equation? Speed equals distance divided by time. Well, we can actually do some cool shit with that. So we know knots is a unit of speed. So what you can then do is knots is actually equal to some distance. Let's call the distance s, because physics, and then divide that by a. So I kind of got curious, and 1 knot is 1.852 kilometers per hour. Ignore the comma. I'm in Germany. So we've got our units now. So it's about 1.8 kilometers per 1 hour. That's s, and that's t. So really, I guess what I'm just proving is that you can apply this equation to just about any situation. Now we're going to use this one here. If you know the speed and you know the time, and you can figure out the distance. Let me show you. Right, so we've got our favorite ship, and it's moving at a steady speed of, fuck it, 30 knots. Right, and say you sort of you think, hang on, if I could only measure the time as well, then you could figure out how far it went, right? Well, you're right. That's really cool. So let's say that I'm moving it at 30 knots, right? And you'll notice that every single little ruler thing I go past it's about a second, right? So we know that at 30 knots, that's the speed, yeah? And for 1 second, so that's the time, it moves a distance, this bit, 30 knots at 1 second, it moves one section, right? Let's do this with the happy ball. It might be a bit easier because it's like small. Let's make it smaller. There, that's cool. Happy ball, god damn. Let's get that really close, really neat. Here, he's moving at 30 knots, and he takes a second to go past every section. So we have the time, 1 second, and the speed, 30 knots. So that means that we've got our distance. Easy. So turns out in game you can actually enable this cool crosshair. You go to settings, controls, select crosshair when this loads, yeah. And instead of having static, you have dynamic, and then press save changes. It'll be there. I highly recommend, along with this, that the bottom alternate interface mode, you put it on full. You'll see why in a second. Trust me, it's really cool. So I'm just gonna make like a battle. Let's make it something really exciting. Like Islands is good. Here we go. Let's have it 12 by 12. That's fucking radical. Hey, welcome back. I'm now in a battle, and you might be asking yourself, well, the crosshair, what does it do? Say take this building. Fucking hell, will this stop? The crosshair, when you zoom in and zoom out, it changes size. And what's really cool, oh, now I'm going backwards. What's really cool is that each little section here stays the same, no matter where you zoom. So I'll show you. It's really cool. See this house here? See how it goes from the 1 mark to just below the 5? See how I zoom out from the 1 mark to just below the 5? Hey, look, you can zoom really far out, and it goes from about the 1 mark to just below the 5. So yeah, now what you might be asking yourself is, okay, cool, so you have this distance, 1 section. What does it mean? What is this 1 section? Well, let me show you. Do you remember this? Of course you do. It gave you PTSD. This here is 1 section. This here is our boat going at 30 knots. And it takes 1 second for it to go past each section. Yes, someone actually figured out in game how to figure that shit out. So if you have this Montana's not going at 30, trust me. This one is nearly going at 30. But someone's figured out that if a ship goes at 30 knots, it'll take it 1 second to move that distance. So for all intents and, well, no, I can't really say that. I'm gonna not target that Montana, but do you see how he's, oh my fucking god, bots, man, bots. Gonna target the one in the background so it doesn't really move as much. You see how that Montana's moving through the sections, and how he's doing around about 1 second per section? That's because he's going at about 30 knots, but now he's not anymore because he's slowed down. But I hope that makes sense. I'm so sorry. Alert, alert, we found a Montana going at 30 knots. So say, for example, I want to hit his conning tower. I'll aim, and it says, here's the alternate interface. It gives you a time for how long it'll take the shell to arrive at its target. And so since he's going at about 30, we want to aim 1, 2 oh, for fuck's sake, he's slowed down. We want to aim 2 sections ahead of where we want to hit, because there's about 2 seconds. So conning tower, aim 2 sections. This is 1, that's 2. And he's slowed down, but who gives a shit? Do you see that? That's really cool. So now you're probably thinking, oh, that's really cool, but it only works. You can only use the 3 seconds and then 1, 2, 3. So that must be 3. Shit. We lost. They capped. Who cares though? You must be asking yourself, well, how can you figure this out for anything that's not going 30 knots straight in front of you? Well, that's where you've just kind of got to eyeball it, and if it looks like they're going faster, so if they're a cruiser or a destroyer, just sort of give them a couple more, and if they're going really slow towards you or away from you, just give them a couple less. You'll figure it out. It's just a sort of nice little baseline to read from. Hey, welcome back to this really cool shit I've got going on. It's a really neat gig, actually. Got a bunch of furutakas. I'm just going to zoom in, and I know that they're going towards me and sort of at 30 knots, so I'm going to aim about 7 things in front, because the time there says, it did say 7, and I was aiming for the middle, and oh wow, what do you know, it worked, because they go faster than 30, but because he was going towards me, it kind of cancelled out. 4.5 seconds to impact, so that means about 4.5 divisions to the front of the conning tower, but since he's going way faster than 30, that won't work. So because he's going faster than 30, that's fine. You just give him a little extra, and then you hit the conning tower. But yeah, I hope that kind of explains how to use the prediction. Well, it's not a prediction. It tells you how long the shells are going to be flying for, and here it gives you a distance for if the target is moving at 30. And it's up to you to use your just eyeballing, common sense, to sort of figure out how many more, how many less divisions am I going to be using. And to be honest with you, I don't even do that, I mean, once I got used to it, I was just able to see, like, okay, yeah, that this is going to hit the conning tower, and then lo and behold, look at that magic, because it just sort of becomes kind of second nature. That sounds really Spider-Man-y, but yeah, you'll get used to it. You can just sort of look at the time it gives you, and then think, okay, so in 2 seconds, where is this ship going to be? And if the ship happens to be moving at 30 knots, this ruler is going to give you that perfectly. But if it's doing anything other than 30, you just use your brain. It's a beautiful tool, and you can do so much with it. Like, be really accurate in a ship simulator run by a greedy Russian company. Yeah. Okay, so thanks for sitting through this. I'm just gonna reward you with this pretty cool, devastating strike. It's Shimakaze, so better be cool. Look at this. Bang. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Thanks for watching.